Welcome in. This is your odds checker betting preview for this week's BMW Championship. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there, Geoff Fienberg. And here we go, Geoff. No cut event, 70 players, actually down to 68 at the moment, but we're ready to rock and roll at a course we've never seen before.
Course we've never seen, Rick, and in some ways, although the golf season never sleeps, does kind of feel like the last real, pre-tournament betting opportunity of the 2022 campaign.
Yeah, because we're going to get the staggered start, obviously, for the Tour Championship. Then we'll flip it over in a couple weeks to the regular field events in the fall. But let's dive into this because you tweeted it out and you kind of noticed the same thing. All the big boys, 18-1 or shorter. Have your pick. Rory Mcilroy, technically the betting favorite, and the odds makers have just lined up everybody else behind him.
Yeah, that just seems to be the way the bookmakers, I think they've caught on as to who's going to win the second leg of the FedEx Cup, Rick. Recent history tells us, if I say 20 guys, are in play, recent history might tell you I should cut that down to 8 or 10. But all the big boys are here. It's late in the season, many of them in really good form. Hard to see it getting away from them, but, we're always sniffing down the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at Rory at 11, then everybody from Rahm at 14 to Will Zalatoris at 16 with everybody else, like, can you make a bet here? You and I don't usually like to live, kind of shorter than 20-1, but there feels like there's a lot of win equity here.
Yeah, I am living here. I'm actually going to live here pretty strong, Rick. Okay. I've made a couple plays. Rory, I do feel like in some ways you could argue is being disrespected, as being a forgotten entity. I think regardless of how I think the course is going to play, there's a lot of differentiating opinions on that. It still seems like it's going to be a very different course than last week. So I sometimes, for a player like Rory or a Scotty Scheffler, can be an apologist for what would have happened last week. That being said, I have got my eyes on two guys here. I've made two bets in this range. I bet Jon Rahm and I bet Justin Thomas. I think this tournament's going to the big boys, probably just keeping the card pretty tight. It's not, you're not going to get the payout like hitting a 40-1, but that's just where I'm holding it this week. I am such a Rahm fan that I'm willing to take any bit of life and think we're going to finish this season strong. And Justin Thomas, to me, just kind of feels like an ideal course fit for any sort of layout. If they feel like it's going to suit bombers, if they feel like, having longer irons could be effective, his scrambling is around the green. I just feel like I trust him more than anyone at this moment. And you would argue he kind of feels like he's underachieved for how well he has played this entire season.
Yeah, both of those guys who have had really, really good years, and I think one win for each of them feels like it's not enough when we've seen some other guys win quite often. If we want to go a little bit further than that, Xander Schauffele is available at 20-1, Colin Morikawa at 22, Sam Burns is here. I know, Geoff, that Cameron Young at 28, which is the longest odds available on him, someplace as short as 22, has been very popular this week. And then Victor rounds out kind of the guys at 30 or shorter of the next tier.
So, I guess like you could take a bomber and sort of, take a Colin Morikawa and think, I'm not sure how this is going to play, but I'm going to take good players in sort of different lanes and hope you're in the right one. That being said, the types of players we think all agree on are going to win this event, that finite amount of player, I wouldn't overread too much into course fit. If like all those guys, when they play well, it doesn't matter what sort of course they're on. They're just the best players in the world. They're playing well. They could be doing it on the moon, and you wouldn't be surprised. I get if you feel like you saw enough life from Morikawa last week to be like, I'm just in. I don't really care how the course is going to play. I think Sung J M, who a lot of us were on last week, also could represent an opportunity. Everyone seems to be betting Cam Young. I don't think I'll be there. There are obvious statistical connections to make with Cam Young, and people just want to make Will Zalatoris just won connection, so feels perfect that Cam Young will win. And anyone who follows my content, it's not beneath me to make a connection like that. I don't think I'm going to be there. This seems like a long course, Rick, and those huge greens. I was on the Vic wagon hard last week. In this range, he might be my player of choice. The 30-1, that seems pretty attractive for me. Wasn't the ceiling performance I think a lot of us are, I bet him last week, we're hoping for. But I saw enough to think that I could want to go back. When I make those plays at the very top, as I mentioned, it does limit my ability to do that. But Victor would be my choice in this next tier at 30.
Yeah, 30-1, the best odds available on Victor right now on the odds checker grid. A couple of guys with some big discrepancies down here, as short as 35-1 on Max Homa, as long as 55. That won't get a click from me, but I do like Terrell Hatton at 55-1. These are wide fairways. His big flaw is spraying it off the tee. After that, he starts to get a lot better. But Geoff, you've already described it. Your card might not include these guys just because of the nature of it. All things being equal, who else has your attention further down the board?
So I do feel like, Rick, after the Willie Z win last week, it wouldn't be beneath me to put another name on the card and try to go out swinging. I get the Neiman love. We're on Bentgrass, and he showed us a lot last week. So he's a guy that if I was building a classic Fienberg card starting in the mid-20s, he probably would have found his way on it. Also in this range, talking about discrepancy, the 65-1 at DraftKings on Hideki Matsuyama off the WD. You see that that's a ceiling number for Hideki. He was 4th off a WD at the Olympics. I think he was 14th off a WD this year at the Masters, Rick. Perception might not be reality because he might have a sneaky, nice little track record off a WD. 65-1. He's a ceiling player that in many ways belongs with some of those really shorter names. And I bet Hatton the last 2 weeks. So if I got one bullet in me and it's in that 60 range, I wouldn't be surprised if I just try to ride or die that one simply for peace of mind as a guy that's kind of been there the last couple of weeks. So I like your feeling on that. This point, some might say we've already passed the demarcation point though, Rick.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. There are some fun names at 90-1, like Sahith or Taylor Pendrith.
Yeah.
When you start getting into these are fun names, Geoff. I just don't think they're names that realistically are going to win. We almost got Sepp Straka last week, where he would have come out of nowhere to actually win, but it's really hard to actually close it out. And I think you're right that we've kind of passed that line.
And you mentioned two guys that I might mention. And, it's nice to see for me, Adam Scott hitting the ball long and straight and putting well, but I don't think I'm going back there. Pendrith and Sahith. I mean, this isn't a major, but it's almost as big as when we would ask players to have their first wins be majors. Like your first win is going to be this leg, this event in the FedEx Cup. Love Pendrith, love Sahith. I'm sure we'll all be like looking to, are we going to bet them at 18-1 in a month in your backyard at the Shriners or something like that? I can imagine what their swing season numbers will be. If you're going to go there with them, I'm not a placings guy because I feel like, and this season has shown us especially, just play the top. I feel like you got to back it up with placings. And I think placings are very realistic because I think we're going to see your Cam Davis, your Sahith, your Pendrith. You can name a few other guys that are going to have really great weeks this week. No reason not to. But the outright win, that's what the headline of this video is. I don't got chips there. No.
All right, 4 guaranteed rounds in Wilmington at Wilmington Country Club. We'll see how it all shakes out. For now, that is Geoff Fienberg. You can find him on Twitter at gfienberg17. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been your odds checker betting preview for the BMW Championship. Good luck.